we think all three of these guys are kind of interchangeable with all those teams that need running back. CBS latest mock has Etienne going to
right here.
Travis Etienne, 5'10", 205 pounds, out of Clemson. Fast, elusive, decisive runner. Was a 4-star recruit out of high school, number 14 overall of all positions. Over the last 3 years, he's averaged 13 carries a game, 99 rushing yards per game. He's averaged a 1.5 touchdowns per game, Johnny. Now, a lot of that's playing for Clemson, but I mean, still, the guy has a nose for the end zone. 2.3 catches per game and 26 receiving yards per game. So not the huge receiving profile, but this is a guy, Johnny, that we think is going to land somewhere and prove right away that he can catch the ball consistently. I love that player profile compared him to DeAndre Swift because I think he's in line for a similar situation like Swift, where if he goes somewhere, maybe there's a little bit of competition at first, but at the end of the day, people are going to see how much of a playmaker he is, and they're going to want him in the offense. And so I was thinking about it and looking at it. Maybe the 49ers, Johnny, make a lot of sense for Travis Etienne because he could come in, look, learn from Shanahan, learn from the other backs in that carousel that he does. But then by the season end, we're going to see that Etienne is probably the guy with the biggest chops to make the most plays. And I think the Niners, then you talk about draft capital, which we just talked about with Javonte Williams. He goes to the Niners. Nobody's going to want to touch Travis Etienne that much, but you could get him in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th round, and he could be that lottery ticket. And we've seen Shanahan make lesser talent into top 15 backs in fantasy football.
Yeah, I don't know if I would not want him to go to San Francisco just because you've got Mostert there. There is such a carousel of running backs. Absolutely, I think that system
but I
produces,
think
obviously. But
I think it's very similar, bro, to like what we saw with Swift. If we're comping him to Swift, Swift went into Detroit and then had the carousel as well. And then by the end of the year, you were happy you had Swift because he was posting top 10 numbers. And I think he could be a little bit better in that sense in a better offense because Swift was in that Detroit offense that was kind of sputtering. If you put that similar situation for Etienne and then he's in San Francisco and then by the year end, you just let his talent rise to the top. Or as Macho Man says, the cream rises to the top. Like I think that could definitely happen with Travis Etienne. What are some other spots you like for Etienne to land? I mean, we talked about the Jets with Javonte. What if Etienne goes to the Jets?
I mean, I would absolutely be giddy if he goes to pretty much if one of these top 3 running backs goes in to the Jets, I'm going to be excited because I think there's going to be a lot of potential there where they will be the guy, right? They're not going to have to just split with anybody else, or there's not going to have that, kind of question mark. But at the same time, that's going to drive up his draft capital. So you tend to like these rookies that are in those ambiguous situations, right? Not only with you bring up DeAndre Swift, but also think about Cam Akers, right? Where Cam Akers is now projected to be like one of the biggest breakout running backs this year. And everyone, everyone's trying to get a piece of Cam Akers. Well, like you said, Darrell Henderson was the other, like people were like, oh, I think Darrell Henderson's going to be the breakout, and it doesn't matter about Cam Akers. So I think if he does go to a situation like that, I think it's beneficial for his draft capital and draft stock. I think that I would be very, very interested in that depending on where he would go. But like I said, I do think he's talented enough to where if he goes to a situation where he is the guy, I think that he will reward fantasy people who get him, because I think that he can be a, pretty solid running back 2 minimum if he has, the backfield basically to himself, or the, getting the vast majority of the target market share there. I think that he would be a really good running back for you this year.
I'm excited to see what happens with Etienne. You talked about, where he's going to go in the draft. We've seen mocks have him as the first running back and as the second running back off. We think all three of these guys are kind of interchangeable with all those teams that need running back. CBS latest mock has Etienne going to Miami.
Right here.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you like what you saw, go ahead and click subscribe. And if you want to watch more fantasy football content, check out one of these videos.